coffee in my favorite cup. That's how I know. Yes, I know. Oh, yeah, I just never so. If I call her on the telephone, say, baby, Eddie's all alone. By the time you count 1 to 4, Chevy, on my door, yeah, in the evening, when the sun goes down, and there ain't nobody else around. She kisses me, and she holds me tight. Eddie, baby, everything's alright. That's how I know. Yes, I know. That yeah, I just never see. Tight, Eddie, baby, everything's swinging. That's how I know. Yes, I know. Hallelujah, I can never sing. Hallelujah, I can never sing. Hallelujah, I can never sing. Hallelujah. I just love that chick so.
Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Right, so let's take a look at Eddie Cochran's version of Hallelujah, I Love Her So by Ray Charles. Eddie kind of sticks more or less to, the Ray Charles version. There's some differences, of course, which we'll look at, like the chorus and things like that. The Ray Charles has a few more kind of chord changes, a bit more movement, which I've kind of put in like in the last chorus of my playthrough. And even in the verse, I just sort of added a little kind of chord embellishment thing, which we'll look at. The Ray Charles version also has a different kind of intro before the kind of more familiar sort of like ascending riff. And for this version, I've kind of arranged it for 2 guitars. I'm probably more familiar with Eddie's live versions. There's, a good handful of versions from the England tour. And some of those have got, like the Boy Meets Girl versions, have usually got maybe strings, some brass. I think there's a version, well, I know there's a version, I'm trying to think, I think it's the Saturday Club one, where actually it's just Eddie and like, the guys who are playing. And there doesn't seem to be anything other than guitars, really, a bass and drums, but I mean, there's no kind of brass and stuff. It's a real stripped down version, fantastic. And we'll actually look at that in a different class because of some of the sort of rhythmical differences Eddie puts in the solo. So that's what these 2 guitar parts are, really kind of taking little bits from sort of versions that are available. Even some of the things I do are based on like the brass and things like that. Some of these like and just little bits and bobs, I've sort of heard, even like the final notes, which we'll look at later. So it's a bit of a mix of all that. So just take what you can of it, really, and kind of build and piece together your own version of what the part you like best. Same with the solo. It's more or less the record, but like I say, I'm not familiar with the live versions. Sometimes it might come out a bit of a mix between sort of versions. Anyway, so we're in the key of G. And so, yeah, the whole thing in a set, well, not the whole thing, but of course, what the most kind of memorable idea, the riff. So in G, so G on the 3rd of the low E, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 on the A. But of course, we've got to give this some kind of rhythm. That's a typical line, and that in that kind of version I said on the Saturday Club recording, you'll hear him sometimes kind of play. Actually, we're going to come in like on this 5 chord, the D7. they even maybe play notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. You don't have to do all the strums and fill in all the gaps. You could just 1, 2, 3. But this is Eddie we're talking about, and there's so much kind of rhythmical energy in this, so it probably is more along the lines of 1, 2, 3. Catching a lot of, and Eddie will always, like we'll see now, there's a lot of these kind of muted things in between. So we're going to kind of... So I did that for the intro for guitar 1. Actually, when we go through this, like what I did for the intro for like the main sort of guitar, you kind of probably think, you know, where's that coming from? That if you listen to the Boy Meets Girl recordings, the live versions, it's very low, but you will hear this little kind of guitar melody coming through. And I think originally I kind of was, it sounded a bit more like single note line, a kind of now it may be something like that, but after listening and listening, there seems to be a bit more of a circular movement to it. That's why I'm doing these kind of, you know, pull-offs. We'll talk about those in a minute. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3. So coming in at D7, then just the riff. So after every note, just a muted strike. 3 on the low E, 2 on the A, 3 on the A, 4, 5, and let's see. Sometimes even the down up, but you've got to be careful. You don't want to get too much sort of bleeding notes, unless that's kind of what you're going for. Maybe more of a kind of energetic sort of bursting out the bag version, so that's fine. But I think, but also, you know, it's okay. Pull it back a little bit and give it some energy. But so yeah, probably maybe leave doing the sort of muted strike in between 4 and 5. So that so yeah, that'll take us into the verse. So and same kind of idea. I just chose, rather than the D7, just play the actual D, just kind of to bring it down a little bit. So I'm going into the verse. Now, for a lot of these chords, I'm kind of just playing power chord things, really. Sometimes, I guess, with my little finger, it might make these sort of 3-note power chords, kind of like super power chords. But yeah, I mean, that's what Eddie was doing. You know, a lot of the time, it's funny. As you know, a lot of us get more into rockabilly or roots and things like that, and we might want to make our harmony a little more sophisticated. It's funny how, you know, people like Eddie were sort of like, you know, pioneering rock music, and although he learnt a lot of chords and had a great vocabulary, he was breaking it down into just a bit more of the power chord sound in a lot of the things, even the, you know, something else and all things like lots of muting in it. Even there's overdubs on that. You know, it's so easy to understand how he was such an influence on the rock music that would come later on, punk and things like that. It's just with those power, just that sort of power chord motion. So so yeah, back to just a G power chord there, or the octave power chord. And now this is what we call like a kind of a first inversion G chord, because we want rather than the root of the chord, the G, we're going to now, so it's still a G, just playing the second on the A, fifth on the D. Again, that walk up. to a C. I just do like a kind of a power chord there. I guess my little finger, because I'm really only playing the 5th and the 4th, but sort of with the strike and having my little fingers on it, it'll kind of catch that 3rd string sometimes a bit. Maybe it'll bleed through a little to the C. I want the C sharp diminished to move to. I'm just going from that C power chord. C sharp diminished. 4th on the A, 5 on the D, 3 on the G. And like we've sort of looked at before, these diminished chords, if you move them up 3 frets, they're the same chord with the notes. Often, well, I'm just playing a partial version, but you know. They're just the same chord, but with the notes in a different order. So, and you actually hear. That's where I picked up a lot of these little parts from the sort of guitar version, that Saturday Club one. And he'll move to that version as a passing thing to go out. So, and to get to that C, I always rather than this kind of G idea, I'd actually just make a B chord and slide that into the C. It makes it a bit more, it's a little bit more aggressive probably, but it just kind of, that's kind of what you want. It just makes that change a bit more, gives it a bit more attitude perhaps. As that little kind of sliding sound into it. So, diminished. And I do the inversion of the diminished. So that's 7A, 8D, 6G. Use that to kind of push us into the chorus, to the G. And there's a guitar which you can kind of hear doing the kind of, you know. But rather than sort of having this kind of shape where, so in the G I'm 3rd on the low E, 5 on the A, and using my little finger on the 7 of the A. You know, that's what we're all used to. Rather than that, Eddie would play that kind of, so we do the power chord thing, 3 on the low E, 5 on the A, and slide his little finger up to that 7, and always play that really kind of rhythmical. So it's kind of that we're going for. So it's like a G. The Ray Charles version, it's a little different. I think some years ago I made like kind of an instrumental version. I kind of followed those changes. You know, there's I make a slight sort of variation, but Eddie kind of uses the bass notes of what might be like in the Ray Charles, but just sticks to a bit more basic. Kind of go from a G to a G7. So going 2 bars in it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. So E minor kind of version. So I'm just catching the low part of like an E minor. Be careful, don't want to fret this. Don't want that suspended sound. We don't really want that. But use my second finger there, catching this C, the 3rd on the A. You hear that pop through once or twice. And then to an A. Only for half a bar, I think. I want 2 to a D. And a D power chord, but we just keep the rhythm. And to a G. And I'm gonna hit that G, then slide into it and sort of make a rhythmical kind of gesture to push now to the C with this kind of middle section. So that chorus, let's see. Do from the verse. So I do that. So now we're in the middle, hit that C, so C, C sharp diminished. Each time hit, so we hit the C. And so what I'm trying to say is that for the next chord we play, sort of play the previous one to push into that, so the C. Rather than play that same shape again for the diminished, we'll play its inversion here, and we're going to play that and move to just this bit of a G on the A, D and the G, 5 on the A, 5 on the D, 4 on the G. It's really because this D note's highlighted really, and in the bass. So to that G inversion. B, slide to C. C to C sharp diminished again. The inversion, slide off, I slide off into an A. Now this part, I play here just a partial D7. Just on the A, D and G. There's no kind of music there, it's kind of implied with Eddie's sort of vocal line, but I'll often play that. So let's see that bridge. So then back into a verse here, because I have another guitar doing a slightly different thing. Now on the D7 or the D, rather than just a single note, I do hit the 7th chord. So it's all the same as before. Except now, so from the end there, I'm going to come to this D power chord to push into the solo. So so that's what would be kind of like a full bar at. But I now start to mix in a little sort of a few of the horn lines and just make the kind of rhythm sort of part a little more with a little more movement. So I'll, rather than play a full bar on that, as we turn around into the solo. I'd play open D, second D, open D, then to the G. You could pick all those or pull off there or pick them. Maybe a bit smoother pulling off. So here, I play that, so low, 3 on the low E, open A, slide from 1 to 2 on the A, go back to that G, just kind of to reinforce really the harmony of the G. And then I'll play, so, and that's 3 of the low E, and then 3, 4, or play the chords like the C or the C sharp diminished. Normally here we'd play a D note or the D7, but I'm going to play that kind of horn riff again. So. And here, same idea, but it's just a bit more melodic. Rather than this low G, I'm going to. So, same again, open D, 2nd fret D, pull off. And now I play 2A, 3 low E, 3A, 5A, 3 low E. Then the C sharp diminished. could hear the D7 or the D note, but I kind of do the which I'll do a lot more. Well, a few more times on the other guitar, the like sort of main guitar part, which is open D and slide 1 2 on the A, then open D again, low G, the third on the low E. So that's solo. And the same again, so go through all that, the changes, the G, the first inversion, B to C, C sharp diminished, the inversion, and the chorus. Turn around on the D. Put the more of a kind of Ray Charles idea, so I'm going to the G or a G7. But rather than 2 bars, we're going to just do a bar, then a B7 for a bar. E minor or E minor 7 to E7, kind of A or A7, D7 to G. We do this kind of, we're going to this kind of turnaround chord, different to the 5 out with this E. We repeat the kind of final sort of the bars. And here it's in with the rhythm, try not to put the accents where you might think they are. It's not, or it doesn't seem, or the vocals falls on different accents, more syncopated, but the music will often, it's not necessarily. So coming out of that chorus, like I said, G or G7, B7, E minor 7, E7, A or A7, D7, G. And we're sort of going to hit this E7. So let's see. To an A, I'm just going to play up an A, 2, 3, 4, and lead to a D7, but with kind of do our sort of main riff, get to this C, we're going to harmonise it a little bit, so 3 on the A, 2 on the E, play that, slide it down 1, or pick, push it, move it down 1, and back, and then up 1. And it's kind of implying really it wants to go to like a D version of that. I mean, you could sort of on the D, but actually Eddie sort of, they go to the 1 chord, the G. And the other guitar, actually, I'm going to hit the D notes, but they're both part of the G. That's what I sometimes do with guitar parts. You know, if there's sort of notes around that you can distribute, just look at trying to let each kind of guitar sometimes fill in the spaces of what the other isn't doing. to the end. So, very end from the last chorus. Sorry, that's the previous one. That's where we get the kind of ending riff, which we'll look at on the other sort of guitar part, and you know, so we'll go through it now. But I like ending with this, which is a bit of a horn line from one of the live versions. So that come in on let's see. So that's just what we're on the 8, 9, 10 on the B, and then leading to from like a G9. So our roots anyway are G, like a G7, but using the ending on the ninth of the of this, which gives it a nice kind of sort of big band crime jazz sound. Great. Right, so let's sort of go through that now, all the other guitar. So, a lot of similar ideas. So, on the first guitar, we came in on that D7, 1, 2, 3. And the riff we looked at in the solo is what I use now on this guitar. It's very identifiable sort of riff for me from the live versions. So I play that open D. My cat's trying to get in the fridge or something, or sneezing. So open D, slide 1, 2 on the A, open D, and hit the root, the G. You might want to miss that out if it's a bit of a jump now to this next idea. So, kind of double stop pull-offs, so 3 on the E and the B. And yeah, sort of 6, 5, 3. Then 5, 3, always on 2 strings. Then hammer 3, 5 B, 3 on the E. Whole thing 2 times, but we finish it, got like a bit of a different finishing tag. Then 3, 4 on the G, 3 on the D. And maybe I'll hit that root, that 3 on the D. And do the whole thing 2 times. Maybe I won't hit that, this G this time, I'll hit this, come in a bit more sort of meaty. Something that I'll maybe even cut short the other, you know, there's nothing really set in stone, but that's the idea. So very similar to the other one. Maybe with this guitar I might put some of them sort of double mutes. You know, it's a good thing to practice sort of single notes like on this on the A. I'm using most of my index finger there to mute out the higher strings, and my thumb is in a kind of position to, you know, I know Eddie was, you know, a big influence for Jimi Hendrix too, and you know, that's what I love. Sometimes finding these little connections, whether it's intentional or not. You know, I mean, even from sort of Jimmy's part of, you know, it's very typical of him to have these kind of rhythmical Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, lots of, you know, guitarists these days where you're kind of doing the whole strumming thing, but you're really kind of isolating most of the single notes and using your fingers or thumb to kind of mute the rest. But, you know, this is that kind of idea. You just practice even on that air. So with that, with the lower ear, I don't have to use my thumb as much. I'd even practice it like that for later when you might want to be a bit more, not as overly rhythmic. What's going on? Back there somewhere, cat's doing something. Out of sight. So, yeah, so that's kind of in the verse. But here now, to go back into that, rather than the low note, I'll kind of push myself into a G7 from this. Just one below, on the 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings, the D, G and B. Too loud. I can't try to rob something and I can't see where I am. So yeah, just 3 on the D, 4 on the G, and 3 on the B. Or what we're going to slide from a fret below. That's how we slide into our G7, F sharp 7 to G. So So for the, I'll do that same kind of idea like the intro as the turnaround. And maybe I'll do something similar just to the other guitar. Here, rather than the kind of boogie pattern, we do more of just a bit more of a chord strike thing. So I do a G, G7, E minor 7, A, bit of a half bar, A7, D to a G. And like before, we kind of do a bit of a slide in, hit the G and then slide into it, do a kind of a rhythmical idea because we're pushing to that C. So perhaps here I'll make a bit more of a fuller chord. So for that chorus, yeah, and even with this guitar, sometimes I might choose to just do single notes. And mix it up a little bit. You know, often when you've got something like that, we do that slide in, and do as we're building up rhythmically, even adding more strings each time to really hit that sort of C with a bit more power. So C, then C sharp. Yep, C sharp diminished. The inversion to push into our G. But here I do that inversion. I'll just slide to this D note on the 5th of the A, which is part of our G. And then I'm going to slide down to that B note, the 2nd on the A, which is really always what we're playing for this inverted chord. So, and then the B, just a regular B to slide into my C to start that cycle. I think the other one I just done like a bit of a 3-string D7 here. I maybe just hit the full one. Like I say, it's not really on the record. It's implied with Eddie's melody, but I do like to put it in sometimes. And then back into the verse. But here I do some like it's kind of a. Not sure why I go for this G, just a G, but like that. I guess my thumbs on there. So that. You know, we'll have seen some of these chords over the time. It's, you know, this kind of pattern, it's very similar to, what is it, Jumping East of Java, you know. You know, it changes then, it's got the whole movement, but... These chords I'm doing here, so it's like a G. This next one, although I'm thinking of it as like a, I guess some kind of G9 or something like that. It's also a B minor 7 flat 5. But it's an inverted G. Like these G. Well, in fact, yeah, because we always do that for these G9s. But I just play the inner strings here. 5, 4, 3, 2. Second on the A, 3 on the D, second on the G, and 3 on the B. I'm not sure if I play here, then a C9, then the C sharp diminished. Here I probably play again the 4 rather than the 3-string version we've been doing. Just use now my little finger on the 5th of the B. And sometimes I'll turn it round on a D7 or a D9. So when we're coming out to that, I think I'm playing, inventing chords that my fingers are falling off. Hit that G. Now I'm going to do this kind of G6 to a G9. Very typical, we're used to things like Eddie's Blues anyway. So we think of, you know, just our little partial G there. Use our little finger on the B string, on the 5th. Move all that down 2 frets. You can always do that on these chords. And slide that up to the C version, C6. So that's coming from the... Sorry. So that's now I'm doing it over the... So we'll often slide into that. I think I slid over then. Slide up to the C. Hit that again. As I move to my diminished. And I just shift that diminished through its kind of inversions. So that's just 8 on the D, 9 on the G, 8 on the B, 9 on the E. Shift all that up 3 frets. I think I slide the first one. Shift up so we reach on the 11th and same shape but now on the 11th and 12th. Same shape but now on the 14th, 15th. Chords again, those chords, G, G7. I think I'll go to an E minor 7 straight away here and then I do these other chords we're looking at, just this E minor 7 up at the just up at the octave of. So I want to follow this kind of melody of up here, and then A9 with an open A string. I just choose that version, this D9, because there's like a string line that comes in on a live version. Can't remember it now. D7, I'm going to turn around. Sometimes up, downs and ups, but sometimes I like... and maybe I do the horn line here to enter it. So coming from that chorus. Like I said, those chords really just come from, there's a string line in a live version. So a lot of double stops here, and very, very rhythmical. So 3 on the E and the B, then 5 on the B. Bit of a push. Back to the 3 on the E and the B. Then 5 B, 6 E. 2 times, then to 3 on the E and the B. 5 on the G and the B, 3 on the G and the B. We're gonna hammer that on the G to the 4th. 5 D, and I stick this second on the D. And here, I think I might have missed out on all, because I'm not really sure sometimes what I don't like all the rhythm guitar actually, although I've just done the lesson parts on this pickup on the middle. I think I actually did the recording on the neck, and again just for a different, so that the actual sounds weren't clashing. So I think the first rhythm part was on the neck, and then for most of the kind of what we call the lead track has been on this. Has been on the middle, and I do flick over now. That's why I think I pull this. It's a little bit short of what it should be. Maybe this second lick. And there's a few different ways you'll play that even live, like I say with other parts. So now on the record, I can't remember if it does that. If it's 5 D, 3 G. Or sometimes we'll go back to 5 D and then bend 5 on the G. On the record you hear it kind of like a bit of a squeak, a bit of a harmonic, pinch harmonic. Not sure if he picks it to come down or releases it. Or rather than jumping back to that 5 on the D, just move up. But I like that jump back. Probably not a full bend really, there's a lot of half bends. 5, half bend, bring down 5, 3 on the G. Pull off 5, 3, 5 D. I ended there, but should at least probably go back to this 3 on the G. On a live version, he actually does it a bit more, which is very similar to the kind of ending lick it does so low. But so you could. I just, like I say, cut it a bit short, and I think I ended. And I flick over here to the bridge. And I think on the so now flicking over to the bridge now, shifting up to this different sort of scale position. 8 on the B, 6 E, 8 E. Not quite a full bend, but pick all of those. Bring it down, pick again, 8. And I'm not sure if on the record we actually 8 B, then 6. Or rather than that 8, 6, 3, 6. Bit of a push on that. But I chose, which you do live and you can hear it on some. So same, 8 B, 6, 8 E. Bit of a halfish bend up. Maybe a bit more. Kind of release that kind of quickly-ish and pull off. 8, 6, pull off. 8 B, 6 E. Now I'll move back down to this position. Now here you could sometimes fill in these bit single notes with double stops, but it's kind of that really 3 E, 6 B, 3 B, but on the last one, it kind of catches it more of a double stop. Bit of a half bend on the 5 of the G. Bend, release, pick. 5. Then 3 on the G. Then so now sort of stripped down, it's just kind of so let's see. So kind of stripped down here. I don't want to add too many notes when this shouldn't be done. Let me just see 1 second. Yeah, I think that is. So we do yeah, we'll go for that. So pull off 5 3 on the G, 5 D, 3 G. But like I said, it's a bit stripped down because maybe he's actually fretted a bit more and doing kind of double stops. A bit more 5 on the G and B rather than just the G. Difficult to say really, but it's at least kind of, and then rather than pull off 5 3 6 3 will do. I think always going back to that fifth. And then 5 on the G and the B. Bit of a bend up. Bring it down, pick. 3 on the G and the B. So with things like this, you know, you're often thinking, excuse me, in terms of single notes, but your fingers are kind of in a bit of a kind of a double stop position. And then, actually, I think I played it a little bit more single note, but this next part. 3-5 beat. 3-6-3 on the E. And 6-3. But I think for the first note, rather than just the 3 on the B, any kind of, because it's just moving him, you know. So he just kind of hits it and he kind of catches more of a double stop. Now, you may even do all those as downstrokes. A lot of, you know, sort of older music too, they would do more downstrokes than alternate. On the record, there's a bit of a, he's doing a kind of a typical Eddie move, this, where we'd be doing air, so 6G, 3B. So 6G, 3B, 6G, then 3B, and 3E. I think sort of as he's doing that, kind of you hear like the open G, like his little fingers sort of just pulled it off a little. But in other live versions you don't, so it's not really an essential thing. It's or playing that first note as a double stop. Here maybe more of a single note thing, but I think I'm not sure if I did the double stop. Does that live. Bit of a bend, so a bit of a bend on the 6-3 high E. Bit of a bend on the 6 there on the G, on the B, sorry. Double stop. The G. What on the 3 on, sorry, 3 on the E and the B. But maybe do that double stop there. Does that live, so we probably did favour that later. So where are we up to do? Let's see. 5G, sorry, 5D, 3G. Then bend up that double stop there, 5 on the G and the B. Bring it down. 3 on the G and the B. And pull off that 5 on the G and the B to the 3, the G and the B. The 5D. Yeah. So. And then 3 on the B and the G. Pull that a little up, you know. Then I turn around on the D7 again like before. I've done this kind of just movements into that G note just to sort of accentuate it a little. So let's see that solo. And then I think as I hit that, go into the main riff. but I do kind of octaves. The octaves on the fifth and the G string. And so let's see, and that's where I flick over back to the middle pickup, because we flicked over before for that. Let's try that solo. So. And maybe we've got a few things we could do, maybe the chord push, or and for this sort of final verse I just choose this. It was like an accent kind of thing I heard in the Ray Charles one, so just going the G major pentatonic, 5/7 on the A, but with that little bit of space. Excuse me. Let's build up again, so the G power chord, the inversion. And here, I'm going to do this kind of, these notes from this kind of altered G, this like G with a raised fifth. It was just something a bit different just to get to this, to the C this time, so let's go to so there I'm just on the 3 of the D and 4 on the G and the B. Move all those to the 5th. So that's C on the D, G and B. Maybe I'll push that into the a full C just because I'm going to move to this diminished. Our inversion of the diminished, go to the chorus. I'll probably do something similar now to the other guitar, these more Ray Charles changes. The G to B7. E minor 7, rather than the E7-8, I think I slide up to an E9. A. Then before the other guitar, D7-8, I use a D9, I think. To a G. The other guitar would do an E7 here, I hit this one. And we're going to move through this kind of melodic idea of, let's see, so we're going from, and those notes all on the D and the G. So 5 on the D, 6 on the G. That's going from our A to D7G. But rather than just 3 note chords, I just use this 2 sort of string idea. So the 5D, 6G. Down a semitone. Want that E7 again, and we keep this shape, but rather than 5 on the G, 6 on the 5 on the D, 6 on the G, move it up a step. 6 on the D, 7 on the 6 on the D, 7 on the G. That's like our E7. Then move it all down. But his last D7, I go back to the chord just for a bit more sort of sizzle. So we've gone through. Oh, no. Now the other guitar, we done this air. What we done, we played just kind of swung eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But I have this second guitar doing more like a kind of a triplet idea. And those two guitars doing those little, you know, the sort of swung eighths, it's just it's without the sort of middle note, which is what makes it the triplet. So they're very similar, but being different, they just complement each other. So from the what's that, D7, or maybe I hit the air. You know, like I say, there's tons of options. Back to the riff. The other guitar, we done this sort of little harmonise. So I do something similar now, but an octave higher. 5 on the E, G and the B. Down a fret. Back up. Up a fret. Times, and then hit that D note. The other guitar hits the G, and they'll together build up that power chord. And now we'll put our ending tag on. You can always give these a bit of a squeeze, a bit of a bend, but 5B, 6, 6E. Then 3 on the B and the E, 5 on the G and the B, 3 G and the B, hammer to the 4th on the G, 5 on the D, flatten the finger back to the 5 on the G and the B, back to the 5 on the D, and finish with that. So that's the 3 on the G and the B with a hammer to the 4th on the G. Do this A flat 9 to G 9. So a typical 9 shape, the same as what I was doing up here. Ending tag. Although Eddie probably uses a bit of fingers there. Similar notes from the guitar solo, but so I'm 6 on the G, kind of pushing through, 3 on the B, 3 on the E. Then hit the 6 on the high E, bit of a bend. 3. Although we're fretting it, so you might catch other notes, but 3 on the E. And pull off 6, 3 on the B. After that pull off, go back to the 6 on the G. Then 3 B and E. And back to the 6 on the G, I slide that down. So 6, 5 on the G, 3, 5, 3 on the D. You know, a very typical Eddie thing. We talked about that in the kind of Skinny Jim thing. But here when you use it with sort of accents in this bluesy note. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it for this kind of, interpretation. And it's, like I say, using a lot of live elements, things like that. So, even sort of mixing up guitar parts, but a lot of Eddieisms, especially in like the rhythm things. It's getting a lot of those muted cut ideas. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realise that sometimes with some of the rhythmical side of what Eddie. It's not tensy, but so rhythmic. Just watch, there isn't much available sort of video stuff, but look for Eddie, the Town Hall Party video, so you've got to check that out. Anyway, go through all that, and fantastic track, great to play along to. Pull It Back, it's got to have some, I probably, without wanting to push it a bit too much, you could smash this out in a real kind of, thrash it out in a real energetic way, and it sounds probably fantastic. But if you're going to play along or want it in a more this bit of Eddie, yeah, even pull it. I mean, my versions are always a little bit more probably overdriven, but it's just kind of my sound. But yeah, there's a lot of simplicity and a lot of groove in it. So yeah, give that a try. And you can always, again, we've heard probably in different versions, even in the Stray Cats, Gene and Eddie, when they do, well, it's in E. Well, sometimes that riff, it comes from like that end part, what we've just looked at. You can always push into the second note with the previous one. Doesn't work for them all. Sometimes you want to mix that up a little bit by changing these things. You will create moments of sort of just where you might sort of pique the interest of somebody a little bit differently, because they just, these things can become a bit hypnotic. Just even a little variation like that. Anyway, been going on for ages. So, give that a try, folks. Have fun and take care. And I'll see you soon. Cheers.